Welcome back. It's 2024. We have officially made it. In this video, I want to give you guys the latest info on Bitcoin. Where is it going to head? And what about these spot ETFs? And also, I'm going to talk about two specific crypto altcoins that you don't want to miss because I believe they will have fantastic futures. CNBC and everyone else is trying to predict where Bitcoin is going to be in 2024. And they interviewed a lot of people. Some are being conservative, saying Bitcoin can head to 60,000 by the end of this year. Some are saying up to $500,000 by the end of the year, which would be absolutely crazy. So if you scroll through here, you'll see Mark Mobius at 60,000. And then you have BitMining, 75,000, CoinShares, 80,000, Nexo, 100,000, Standard Chartered, which is a big major bank out of Europe, 100,000, Carol Alexander, 100,000, Maxiport, 125,000, and CoinFund saying up to $500,000. Now, in my opinion, knowing what I know and putting two and two together, I do think Bitcoin has a really good shot of hitting $100,000 by the end of this year. In fact, I think Bitcoin has a really good shot of breaking its previous high right after halving event. So that may be very aggressive, but I do think there are a lot of factors in play, especially this first half of this year, that will drive Bitcoin much, much higher. And I think 100,000 is actually a really good estimate by the end of this year. Now, in case you're curious, this is Bitcoin's price on New Year's Day, going all the way back to 2014 when it was only $13.30. And if you look through here, you'll see that, yeah, there are some crazy climbs, and then you'll have a dip, and then you just keep on going, right? 2023 was that dip year, but if you're looking at this, 2022 at $47,746, and you're looking at 2024, $42,717. We're pretty close. We're pretty darn close. We're not that far off, right? That shows you how strong 2023 actually was. Yes, even though we started a year at 16,600, we closed the year at 42,000 plus. So 2023 was absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to see what this says January 1st, 2025, because like I said, Bitcoin could be above $100,000. Now, as for spot Bitcoin ETF approvals, they could come as soon as tomorrow. As soon as tomorrow. It was speculated last week that the SEC talked with all the applicants, made sure that they got in their revised applications because they want to make a big approval this week. Could come as soon as tomorrow or even Wednesday. The deadline is supposed to be January 10th, but again, could come much sooner than that. So get ready. If this happens tomorrow, we will see an explosion. And in case you're wondering what we could see, well, this was when gold got their spot ETF. You could see gold for decades, basically hovering along, not moving, going sideways. And then after ETF approval, man, it shot up to the moon. So even though Bitcoin has not been that stagnant for decades, certainly not. But think about what the ETFs will do for Bitcoin, especially with all the money flowing in. We're talking about billions upon billions just the first month alone. And then throughout 2024 and 2025, we could possibly see trillions flow into the sector, not only just for Bitcoin, but for the entire crypto market. That's why there are some people that are asking, hey, George, could it be that the ETFs are already priced in? Well, maybe a little bit, but no one can predict how much money will be flowing in. Again, if trillions are flowing in, then certainly we cannot predict that ahead of time, right? We can only speculate. So Did Bitcoin go up a lot, in the last few months in anticipation of spot ETFs? Yes. But will we see Bitcoin dump afterwards? Man, with everything that's happening in 2024 and how much money it will be flowing in, there's no way to predict that. So I think 2024 will be a fantastic year, just like what this chart shows. We'll have some volatility, we'll have some up and downs, but overall, we are heading higher, right? And we'll see where 2024 ends up. Okay, now that's the latest with Bitcoin. Now let's talk about two crypto altcoins that have been doing very well, and I think they will continue to do well in 2024. And they're not well known. I know a lot of you guys are anticipating that I'm talking about Solana or Avalanche or Polygon or Cardano. No, let's talk about two that are not relatively unknown. The first one is Sei, or C, depending on who you ask. Japanese pronunciation would be C. But I guess if you're looking at something else, it might be Sei, whatever it may be. But look at this. They're up 75% within the last week. Today, they're up 13%. Last month, 173%. They're still considered a mid cap, not even, maybe at this point in time, a small cap at 1.5 billion. And there are a lot of great things happening with C because, or Sei, I still don't know. I have to find out what everyone else is saying. But Sei is interesting because it's out of Cosmos, okay? And Cosmos chains have been doing very, very well. Very well. So I've already mentioned this before. You look at Injective, which is super hot. Super, super hot. Had the greatest gain, was the greatest gainer in 2023. But then you also have Celestia that also did really well. And Sei seems like they are going in the same direction because they are built. They are within Cosmos. They support both EVMs. That's what's interesting. Their V2 is parallelizing their execution environment. So they support CosmWasm and also Ethereum virtual machine. So they're kind of like the best of both worlds. So if you're a dApp maker and you want to utilize your dApp in basically a feeless and very quick blockchain, you can port over to C. And same thing, if you're a developer within the Cosmos ecosystem using CosmWasm, you can come aboard to C as well, right? So they're kind of in both spaces, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And there's talks about them even supporting others too outside of EVM and Cosmos, right? But as of right now, they have over 1 billion transactions. They just hit that recently. They're super fast. Their finality time is less than a second, which is among the fastest in the space. So, and they like to claim that they haven't had a network outage. Well, they're relatively new, but they already process over 1 billion transactions very smoothly, very seamlessly, very quickly, right? So they are doing very well. They also have a name service. And they tweeted this out that, hey, the recent registrations is close to the same as Ethereum. ENS is still getting a lot of registrations. Obviously, the total registered is way more than what you see on C. But it's relatively new, and there's a ton of people that are using it. So good for them, right? They formed a partnership with CoinGecko. And so they are listed on Gecko Terminal, which is good. Basically, it lists all their tokens and everything, all the TVL and everything that's on CoinGecko. That's awesome. And then they also have partnerships with others like in Japan and many other places, right? So C is relatively new. They're definitely up and coming, right? And I do think in 2024, they're going to continue to kill it and do well. So that's the first one I want to talk about. The second one is even more unknown, although some people have mentioned it to me before, and that's MetisDao. And they are also doing very well. Last 7 days, up about 51%. Last month, up about 300%. So relatively small. They're definitely small cap, about 400 million, up and coming. Who are they? Well, they're a layer 2. They're layer 2. There are a lot of layer 2s out there. I mean, obviously, the big ones being like Arbitrum and Optimism, but Metis is a smaller layer 2 and basically created to scale Ethereum DApps. And there's an interesting connection I want to make at the end. Okay. But yeah, they use Optimism, their code base. So very, very familiar. And there's many that are doing so. And Optimism, they're building a super chain, right? And Metis is among one of them, being in that super chain. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting how they want to connect all the layer 2s together. So, so that's kind of interesting. Now, in terms of their transactions, just like Sei, it's been going up. Just look at January, and then you look at May, September, and then January again, May, September. They are blowing up in terms of transactions and volume. Definitely gaining traction at this point. They overall processed about 10 million transactions, so nowhere close to a billion, but they are also very fast, no congestion, and very cheap. Very cheap, right? That's what L2 does, basically scale Ethereum in a way that Ethereum cannot scale, and Metis is helping them do that, right? And also, if you look at the total TVL, this is what's most interesting about Metis. If you look at TVL of all the L2s out there, they are number 3. They are even above Base and ZK Sync. Arbitrum is leading the way with a total TVL close to 10 billion. You got Optimism, their mainnet, about 6 billion. Then you have Metis at 668 million. That's not easy to do, especially look at Coinbase at 626 million. Coinbase being as big as they are, all the power that they have and they control, you know, Metis is number 3. So they're definitely interesting, up and coming, and their TVL is growing. And the last point I want to make is this. No, actually 2 points. They did create a $100 million fund recently to draw in more dApp makers. So that is good. Whenever you have that much money to incentivize dApp makers to come aboard, you're going to get a lot of dApp makers coming aboard. So that is absolutely fantastic. But the last point I want to make is, yeah, Vitalik's mom, Vitalik Buterin, yes, the leader of Ethereum, his mom works at Metis. In fact, not only works there, she's considered a leader of it. So think about that. Even though there's no official tie between the two blockchains, right? But you gotta think that at a dinner table or on phone calls, they're talking about their projects and how they can help each other, right? So there's an interesting connection there as well. So the second one today is Metis. They're much smaller, I think, based on their growth, their TVL, the connection with Ethereum. I think they could do very, very well in 2024 too. All right, guys, that's pretty much for this video. I'm going to keep it nice and short. Today overall is a good day. Welcome 2024. Happy New Year to all of you guys. Today we're seeing a lot of green. That's what we want to see. And I think we're going to see a lot more green in 2024. So stay strong, my friends. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Usual time, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Take care. Bye-bye.